If you're new here, welcome. This channel is where I document learning ranch life, land stewardship, gardening, and figuring out what this family land means to me here in South Texas. If you've been following along for a while, thank you so much for continuing to come back each week. What you are hearing is the sound of a pump jack in the background. And I'm so sorry for the distraction, but this is where I had to film today's episode at. My dad would call that the sound of money. This week is 4th of July weekend. And while most people think about independence as a country, I have found myself thinking a lot about independence in a different way. Learning to grow food, learning the land, learning to fix things, and learning to rely a little less on stores and products and machines and chemicals, and a little more on my own hands. And honestly, I've also been thinking a lot about work. Our parents taught us to work hard, not by telling us, but by setting an example. For nearly my entire childhood, Dad left before the sun came up. And most days, he didn't come home until after the sun had already gone down. Many evenings after supper, he'd head right back out to the shop because something had broken that day and needed to be fixed before tomorrow. Equipment wasn't allowed to stay broken because tomorrow's work depended on today's repair. And honestly, I don't remember him sitting around very much at all. And my mom was exactly the same way. She was a homemaker for most of her life, but she was never, ever still. She wasn't one to watch soap operas or morning talk shows. She wasn't sitting around watching television. She was cooking, cleaning, sewing, crocheting, canning, gardening, skinning a deer, helping Dad, or driving tractors. There was always something that needed to be done, and my parents were usually doing it. What's funny is when I was younger, I didn't always think of work this way. Honestly, work felt a lot more like punishment most of the time. Cleaning out the chicken coops or hoeing a cornfield, cleaning something or doing chores, being told to do something when I would rather be doing something else. I don't think I found much joy in it, but somewhere along the way, something in me shifted because now I find tremendous satisfaction in hard work. I love being able to watch something change in real time, like organizing old lumber or, mowing grass that's 3 feet tall, organizing Dad's barn, working out in the garden, clearing a fence line, or, just taking something messy and making it useful or pretty again, seeing progress, seeing effort become results. And maybe the difference is that I choose it. Nobody is making me pull weeds. Nobody is making me organize used lumber. I want to. And that is a very different feeling than being 14 years old and being told to hoe, all the goat head stickers out of your 2-acre yard. Maybe when I was younger, I saw the labor, but now I see the purpose. Lately, I've been listening a lot to Joel Salatin. What the internet tells me is he is a farmer rancher out of Virginia who owns a 550-acre farm, a ranch. And some of his ideas have really resonated with me. observation, stewardship, working with nature, using fewer chemicals, and paying attention. The internet also tells me that Joel nets, I think it was nets, $3 million a year in farm profits. He runs about 30,000 chickens, not in the way that you would think. His coops are much, much smaller than the commercial things that you're probably visualizing. And he uses the chickens to help keep his pastures in pristine condition. If you have never seen Joel Salatin's chicken tractors, which is what he calls them, check it out. However, I know that my ranch is tiny compared to most ranches. And maybe because it's small, I have an opportunity to do things differently. I want to see how chemical-free I can become. I want to see how much or how many regenerative practices I can use here on my ranch. I want my hands in the dirt. I want to sweat, and I want to work on this property. I want to become intimately familiar with this land. I want to eventually cover every square inch of this property with my own eyes. Every fence line, every gate, every tree, every draw, every washout, every wildflower, every place the deer travel, every problem, every beautiful spot, because I'm the one making decisions about this property now. And I don't want to make those decisions from the seat of a pickup or with limited firsthand knowledge, because I understand how important this is now. And I want to know this land like the back of my hand. So this week I have spent a few hours, about 5, clearing this fence line by hand. And honestly, I have loved it. I don't know if it's the sweat, the exercise, the visible progress, or just seeing something overgrown become pretty again. I estimated this fence line to be about 400 meters long, and turns out it's 800 meters long. But the good news is that in only 5 hours of work, spread out over a few days, I have been able to manually clear out this fence line. And there's something deeply satisfying about taking a mess and making it better, cleaning it, organizing it, beautifying it, and making it accessible again. And now I'm realizing that maybe this isn't something new. Maybe this is who I was raised to be. So I'm curious, what is something that your parents taught you without ever saying a word? I would genuinely love to hear your answer. Recently, I was accepted into the Daughters of the American Revolution. And for those of you who may not know, the DAR is an organization for women who can trace their family lineage back to someone who contributed to the American Revolution. And that contribution could have been military service, civil service, providing supplies, supporting troops, or helping to establish our country during its earliest years. In my case, it was my fourth great-grandfather, William Cathy. William signed the Oath of Allegiance in Burke County, North Carolina, in October of 1778, and is recognized as an established patriot by the Daughters of the American Revolution. From North Carolina, my Blaylock family eventually moved to Georgia, and then Oklahoma, and finally to Texas when they were following the Simmons land sale. What it has really done is make me stop and think about all the people who came before me, their sacrifices, their struggles, their work. William Cathy, my great-grandparents, my grandparents, my parents, and my stepmom even, you know. She's out here all the time doing things, and she cares deeply for this land too. And now, you know, maybe it's starting to be my turn, because the older I get, the more I realize that stewardship isn't just about land. It's also about stories, traditions, work ethic, values, and making sure those things don't disappear. Learning where I came from so I can better understand where I'm supposed to go. You know, I often think if my great-grandfather can bring his family from Oklahoma to Texas when my grandfather was just 2 years old in a covered wagon, I can manually clear out half a mile of fence. You know, maybe I am becoming a good steward of what all of the generations have left behind. It's 4th of July weekend, and while we celebrate independence as a country, I think I've been chasing a different kind of independence. Learning to grow food, learning the land, learning to rely a little less on convenience, learning to do things with my own hands, and not because I have to, but because I want to. And because I think there is something deeply satisfying about knowing you can. My parents never sat down and taught me how to work specifically, but they showed me. Dad leaving before sunrise. Mom never sitting still. And Beverly leaving the house every single day after retirement to clear out a walking trail or watch birds. You know, and all of them finding purpose in work. And maybe that's why hard work feels good now. Maybe that's why sweat feels satisfying. And maybe that's why cleaning a fence line makes me happy. Because when you spend your whole life watching people work, eventually you realize that work is not punishment, it's purpose. And maybe stewardship isn't owning the land, maybe it's knowing it. One tree, one fence, one garden, 1 acre at a time. Before I go, the next episode will air on July 12th. I'll be taking next Sunday off, but I'll see y'all all again on July 12th with another update from the ranch. If you've enjoyed following along, please like, comment, subscribe, share, and help me continue growing this little channel. And as always, love you guys. I will see you next time. Happy ranching, farming, gardening, living life, man. See you next week for July 12th, whenever that is.